All right, I think we're ready to go.
All right, can we have a moment of silence? All right, Amy, I'll turn it over to you, who I think will turn it over to Ivan on IT.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing so we can share ITs, and then Ivan will go through all of the new program requests that IT has for 2026.
All right, Ivan, you're up.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My goal is to go over everything as in detail as possible without putting anyone to sleep. So starting at the top with the fire MDTs, these are 12 additional iPads for the for the fire department to expand their MDT and replace some replacement, some expansion of their MDT units that they use in the vehicles. These next is the AI Thinnic platform. This is a asset management platform. It's really a direct response to a cybersecurity assessment that was performed earlier in the year, identifying asset management as a room for improvement within the city. So this platform addresses that, as well as dealing with the life cycle management for both software and hardware, as well as assessing the utilization on software, ensuring that we're not oversubscribed to software. If we're purchasing software, we're using all of the software licenses that we're purchasing, and we don't have any sitting just wasted, not utilized. The next item down to the cradle point replacement. This is a hardware replacement for the cradle point units that provide cellular connectivity to some of the smaller facilities around the city, mainly park houses and recreation sites. And this is to replace equipment that's going end of life. The next item, the endpoint security services. This is for the endpoint protection, which is the computers, the laptops and the desktop within the city network. We're looking to migrate from currently we're utilizing Cisco security client, and we're looking at a newer platform, the Falcon CrowdStrike platform, which offers a lot more services, a little bit more robust protection for the endpoints. After that is the next down is the firewall replacement project. This is a replacement for hardware, the firewalls. We utilize several firewalls within the network to encrypt traffic, primarily from police offices. This is to provide full encryption from office to office and back to the city data center. This is a requirement for CJIS compliance by the FBI and SLED for these locations. Again, that the equipment that's being replaced is reaching end of life and just needs to be replaced to stay within compliance. The SIM project, SIEM, which pronounced SIM, or it just stands for Security Information and Event Management. This is a platform that also is as a result, a direct call out in that cybersecurity assessment that was done earlier in the year. We currently have a platform that is providing this function, but is, I would say, lacking, or what we're looking to do is expand and improve those services that are being offered by the system that we're currently have in place. And this is a log aggregation, so it takes in log information from systems and identifies suspicious activity and alerts to suspicious activity. The AV systems project, this is just to replace AV systems, which are primarily monitors, the display systems and the computers in conference rooms throughout the city. We have identified 3 or 4 locations that need systems that do not currently have them, as well as replacing systems that are aging out. The next item is a security manager. This is for a position, again, tied into that security assessment. The city's working towards formalizing in its security program, cybersecurity program, and this position is needed to mature our current security systems and have oversight. This position would be responsible for overseeing the security analyst and pushing forward with a lot of our initiatives for cybersecurity within the city and its systems. The Dell IDPA system is a replacement for a system that is aging out. This system provides all of the storage for the backups of the city systems within the data center. All of the data within any computer systems, storage, server systems in our data center gets backed up to this system. Was installed back in early 2020. We're looking to replace this. It goes end of life in 27. We're looking to replace that in 26, so we don't push up against that deadline for the end of support. The e-discovery systems, this is a system that is geared towards the needs of the legal department, dealing with their FOIA requests that they receive. This really just helps with analyzing, going through, collecting, identifying the information that comes in from a request for a FOIA request, and allows that to be processed and submitted and completed much quicker and much more accurately. The EDMS backfile outsourcing scanning. This is for scanning services as we push to digitize records through the city for the various departments. This allows for third-party scanning of those paper documents so that they can be uploaded into the records department's file systems and retention systems. The network systems administrator is a new position, an additional position. We have network systems administrators too currently. This is an additional position to handle the current workload that we have with the expanded Microsoft services, 365 systems, as well as some of the GIS needs along their systems and server management. The analog line safety line conversion project, this is to digitize the phone systems at 7 different locations, mostly park houses and a couple of fire stations as well. AT&T is pushing to eliminate all copper phone lines. Any new phone line now generally is delivered as a fiber system. These are all older analog phone lines that need to be replaced, in keeping with AT&T's replacement of these systems. So this is the equipment and services to do that for these last 7 locations. The cellular amplification upgrade is for the Fire Station 14. This is dealing with the cellular signal within that building. This is an upgrade of what's called the DAS system, the distributed antenna system. The cell signal in that facility is poor. This system amplifies that signal within the building. And that system is right now is the oldest system that we have in place in the city and is scheduled for replacement upgrade. The Iridium PTT phone, this is a satellite phone system, both a phone and docking station, to be placed in the MEOC, Emergency Operations Center, to replace the current system. The state emergency services are pushing towards the PTT as a push to talk. They're pushing to upgrade all systems to a push to talk. This is to keep us in line with those equipment and those services, so that we're fully integrated with the state emergency system. Andrew, you can go to the next page. That first line, the NFPA, actually that's related to the earlier item of the analog line safety line conversion. This is actually just the battery backup systems that are required for safety compliance for that program. So it really should be rolled into that line item as well. And then the last is the full phone migration to cellular. Again, in keeping with AT&T's push to eliminate all analog lines, this is a project that will take these phones that are required by DHEC for compliance at all of our pools and convert those over to a cellular system away from the analog lines. I know I kind of rushed through that, so if you have any questions about anything in particular, please let me know, but that covers all of our requests.
Any questions from committee members? Pretty thorough. It sounds to me like Ivan, I mean, a lot of these deal with cybersecurity, and I'm not going to say is not really optional, but in some ways isn't really optional. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. We did have a very large push again to really improve our security posture within the city, and a lot of it in line with the findings from that cybersecurity assessment. And then a lot of these are also, like the telecom requests, are in keeping with AT&T's push. Technically, the phone lines don't go away next year, but AT&T is going to essentially force people by pricing. They're going to go up 40% next year, and then they're going to continue to go up at significant rates to incentivize people to get off of the existing analog lines. And then any of the other projects, generally, to your point, they are high priority simply because we're either reaching end of support for equipment, or we're just reaching that point where we're a year away from reaching the end of life or end of support for equipment.
Okay. Again, pretty thorough. No disrespect, but I understood about a third of it, in terms of not being my area of expertise, but I'm glad you do know about it. Councilman Ware.
Yeah, thank you. Can you tell us what some of the other municipalities are doing in this regard with their cybersecurity? I mean, maybe not North Charleston and Mount Pleasant, but Charlotte and some of maybe surrounding cities. I mean, they've come across this similar needs, I'm sure. Do we
Yes,
know
sir.
what some of them have already implemented?
So in terms of specific systems, I can't really speak to specific systems. For instance, the SEAM, all of these are really understood industry best practices. You want a SEAM system, you want a vulnerability management. And actually, I believe I skipped over that. That was one on the list that I think I actually skipped over right under the SEAM, with the seventh one down, the vulnerability management platform. Again, that's also a platform identified in our most recent cybersecurity assessment that deals with the software patching for computers, both the operating system as well as third-party software, your Adobe, your Office, anything like that you might have on the computer. The vulnerability management platform identifies where those updates need to be made on all those computers and helps you remediate those needs. All of these are geared again to just improving. You're never going to, anyone who says we're absolutely secure, we're 100% good, that's usually kind of a salesman pitch. Your goal is just to, it's an ongoing and it's a never ending process for cybersecurity, but all of these items that we've listed and enumerated are to significantly improve our cybersecurity. To your point, like the larger municipalities, Charlotte, and the regional organizations and municipalities, all of these would be following these best practices, and we're trying to really improve ourselves to be in line with all of those best practices.
Yeah, I understand. Believe me, I'm with you with the need to do it. I just wonder, some people have already crossed this path, and in some of the selections they've made, I just wondered what's been their experience if they've already made these decisions and gone with certain cybersecurity companies. Maybe it's something we will want to look at, or maybe a company I don't know, what's some of the companies we looking at?
Well, absolutely. And a lot of these are, most of these are going to be systems that are self-managed versus a third-party provider, some sort of MSP, managed service provider, where we're outsourcing some of our, I don't want to say responsibility, but some of the workload. And
Right.
that will be something that we would also be looking at in the future. Right now, I think our focus has to be really on ground zero, the identification and inventory of assets, knowing what we have so we can better protect it. That's the point of like the AI Authentic program. That platform is really getting a good assessment of what we have so that we can then decide how we're going to best protect those. The vulnerability management, those other programs, a lot of those, we have looked at platforms. We haven't absolutely decided we need to go with platform X because we have done some due diligence, to provide budgetary numbers, but we are also flexible in what we're looking to implement and what is going to give us our best bang for the buck.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? If not, we can head over to executive. Appreciate Ivan all the input and again, pretty thorough.
Mr. Mayor, I think Councilmember Pell had his hand up.
So
Yeah.
I did see it.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Jennifer. Just had a quick question. Is there anything in this budget request, or has the city started thinking about anything in relation to AI and the AI revolution and how that can be harnessed to drive efficiencies with the city and things of that nature?
Yes, sir. Actually, we have been working on that. That's something that first we're trying to get gain a really good picture of how it's being used within the city now. Unfortunately, we haven't given much guidance from the IT department and other city offices on responsible use of AI, just from the individual employee use. Actually, tomorrow, I think there should be a survey going out to all employees, to just get a gauge on how they're using AI. And that'll help us craft. We're working on security policies that will be in place, that we look to put in place to safeguard the data that the city has, and that it's used responsibly by employees, not uploading something that we don't want put into a larger large language model, so that we're essentially uploading our data to the internet and giving up control over. But we're also, as we look at these tools, that's also a very valuable part, is the integration of AI within the security tools that we would be utilizing and the platforms that we've been utilizing, and then also non-cybersecurity IT platforms like Workday. Workday was recently implemented. We're just reached our year anniversary, and any AI components, how do we safely utilize those functionalities in these large enterprise platforms, both to better secure the city and its resources, but also improve the efficiency of the employees and of the platforms themselves. But that is an ongoing, we are directly in making that a priority to address now.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Councilman Appel, and we certainly are wanting to use AI, but as Ivan points out, it's something that I hadn't really thought of, but you have to do it in a pretty measured, responsible way, because it does open up exposure for security breaches, which I hadn't really thought about. But so I appreciate his, we're certainly embracing it and figuring out how we can utilize it for efficiencies and lighten the workload on some tasks that, let's just say are somewhat dated, but do need to do it in a responsible way. Any other questions? All right, let's move to executive. Mine's really, really complicated. is Julia on, or I can just, this is the first one's a paralegal for the prosecutor's office. And that's something I think that has been needed. And if anybody from legal wants to opine on that in more detail, by all means. Second one is, we've talked about this a little bit last year. We're really trying to ramp up our communication, particularly our digital communication. We've gotten a lot of compliments and accolades for what Deja and her team have been able to do, but it is a heavy lift, and we need some additional help there in terms of content, graphics, and that's not just for outward facing, but inward facing as well. So this is a new position that the comms department is looking for. The second one, and then the last one is to rebuild our city's website, which is very much in need. And I'm not going to get into, because I can't remember if we're building it from scratch or we're working with what's there, but we've got a proposal from a good local company that's vetted our website and have given us a bid for basically completely redoing it. So that, I think, is going to be money very, very well spent. So 2 related to comms and 1 related to legal. That's the gist of the executive department. Happy to answer any questions. Anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I mean, this was a little sidebar conversation toward the end of a public works meeting. I think it was our public works meeting, could have been another committee, but on that piece with recognizing employees that, go above and beyond, in particular with projects that save the city considerable money. And we've got some of these projects once in a lifetime, once in a generation, something like that, maybe longer. And obviously the raising the battery is one. And I do believe whenever it's finished, a year from now, whenever the September Clock Spring Fishburne, $200 million, you probably go one end of the state to another. I don't think you can find a drainage project like that anywhere. And I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money, but I do think, recognitions, some of these people leaving some of their body parts behind in these projects.
No, I love the idea, Councilman Waring, and I appreciate you bringing it up, and the idea of basically doing some sort of award, like council award or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, we need to come up with a good name and all of that. I agree, and I do believe when you qualify for this, at least it gets you nominated for the Order of the Palmetto. On that level. Obviously. So anyway, I didn't want to forget that, and I don't know whether that comes out of this budget or not, but
It doesn't, Councilmember Waring, but we can talk about that a little bit more when we start going through some of the very specific line items and requests in some of the other departments. I think you'll see that there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if I could just add to that, we're certainly related. And you got a little taste of this with regards to, I think, maybe on the HR budget. But you all are aware that we're still working on this compensation study,
right,
and some rebuilding of HR and job descriptions with Workday, and we're getting to a really strong foundation. It's taking time because we want to make sure we do it right. But one of the things this, of course, is going to allow us to do, and I know this is stuff we've talked about informally as council members, is to figure out some performance-based bonus metrics moving forward, and we're hoping to start that at the second half of 26. And so it's related to what you're talking about, just basically having data sets that help us gauge, how efficient and effective employees are, and we have a lot of really incredible employees at the city, and just a way to show our appreciation for them on an annual basis.
Right.
So I think in conjunction with the awards that we already do quarterly, with potential money coming in too, and then also having a kind of top tier award like what you've suggested, Councilman Waring, I think are great ways to show our appreciation for all the hardworking staff we have at the city.
Okay, great. Ms. Smith, back to the compensation study. Are we going to be able to get through that before this budget is done?
No. It's just, the reality of it is it's a heavy lift kind of getting all the job descriptions right. There was just a lot more information that needed updating and modifications to get an accurate, get us to an accurate place for the consultant. And this is not just on us. I mean, this is CBIZ. They're helping us with this, and they are recommending that, we make sure we get everything straightened out. So every department and section and then department is going through the process to update the job descriptions and make sure it's synced in with Workday and a lot of other detail that I won't bore you with, but just candidly, it's taking more time because, again, all these folks that are tasked with doing this have their day job too, and the city's really busy right now. So, just tell you that our guys and men and women are working overtime. And certainly appreciate the importance of it. But in terms of being able to get it done by the end of this year, it's going to be early to the late first quarter, beginning of second quarter. And that's why we would look at doing the performance-based metrics starting end of Q2.
I'm going to ask this then. What do we, and I mean, I guess this is not an answer for today, but obviously we need to do something not to lose out some of our people in between now and whenever that study is finalized, first quarter, second quarter next year. We have any plans to do something in this budget?
We're budgeting in, COLA increases. Of course, we have a COLA increase that was put in for this year's budget. So people have been getting, generally what they've been accustomed to over the, past several years. And we're looking at kind of where we end up for the year this year. And then next year, of course, we're assuming some additional bumps. Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of generally across the board, correct?
Well, that's what we're still kind of working on there. So Councilman Waring, we're trying to come up with a good number that would allow us to implement some of the compensation study
Right.
next year. So that's what we're working on now. So it'll be probably a combination of several things: a COLA, performance evaluations, and compensation study rolled into one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, good questions. Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? If not, we will circle back. What next? Remind us, Amy, what is next week?
So we'll go over lease purchase, fuel, some other fact of life increases, and whatever else we can fit in next week.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll appreciate everybody jumping on. Yep.
One last thing. Have we already done the court system?
The courts are under executive, right, Amy?
Yeah, so these are just all the new program requests, Councilmember Waring, wasn't all the increase, like just the base budget increases that they asked. We'll go over all of that next, but these are all just new programs that
Okay,
the
all right.
departments requested. So we'll see that soon too.
Alrighty, alrighty. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, appreciate everyone. Y'all have a good day.